Hey guys, today's video is all about my favorite mattifying primers, and they're really great for if you have oily skin, but maybe you're just all about that matte life. Before we get started, you can subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more videos from me. I put out new ones every single week, so be sure not to miss them. So I've got a bunch of products here. I've got an assortment of drugstore, high-end, but they are all kind of priming products that you can use before your makeup to help your makeup stay on, help your oils kind of stay at bay, and just keep you matte, just keep you less shiny. So the first one I'm gonna mention is if you're not really into primers like at all, you can still use something to keep your skin matte before you put your makeup on, and this is the L'Oreal Miceller Water, and this is for normal to oily skin. Basically, it mattifies and purifies, so if you just kind of want to give your skin a good swipe of something to mattify it, you can definitely use something like this. Lots of brands have kind of mattifying toners, mattifying kind of micellar water. This one's by L'Oreal, but Garnier recently came out with one. I think it's in a green bottle that's mattifying. You can also use, like, Clinique has some like mattifying toners, etc. If you're just like not really into primers or makeup at all, you can still kind of use a mattifying liquid product. These next couple products are more like moisturizers, but they're mattifying moisturizers. So this one is the Body Shop Seaweed Oil Control Gel Cream. It says for combination oily skin. It definitely has a very kind of jiggly jelly texture. Such a holy grail for me. I have used this forever. If you've been watching my channel for literally years, this is a really hydrating, like watery kind of moisturizer, but it definitely dries down to a matte feeling. I feel like this is the best if you have kind of combination skin, because it definitely doesn't make your skin feel dry, moisturizing but mattifying at the same time. A similar product is the Clinique Pep Start Hydrablur moisturizer, and this is just like a teeny tiny little, a little bit bigger than sample size. This is an interesting texture because it is super thick. Like, if you can see that, that is just super thick. But once you start rubbing it into your skin, it like weirdly thins out like water and has a really cooling sensation to it. Kind of gets tacky in a way, but it does dry down completely and kind of has a funny smell to it. It kind of smells salty in a way, but I actually don't mind that at all. Once it dries down, it really gives you that mattifying feeling, and it also helps to minimize the look of pores as well. So if you're in Sephora, give this like a little try on your hand. It might feel funny at first because it's so thick, but it really thins out once you start rubbing it onto your skin. This is also a little mini sample. This is the Olay Henriksen Counterbalance Oil Control Hydrator, and I think this is a fairly new product. I got it as like just a 100-point perk, I think. This, in my opinion, is super similar to the Body Shop Seaweed Oil Control Gel Cream. They have the exact same feeling, exact same texture, except for this Olay Henriksen is probably a little bit more expensive, and I would say it might be a little bit more oil controlling as well, but for me these are basically the same thing, both really great at controlling oil but moisturizing as well. Okay, I just got really bright. So this product is actually a powder, but it is a priming powder. This is really cool. This is the Gosh Prime and Set Primer and Mattifying Setting Powder, so you can use it prime and set, but I just use it for a primer, and it is a super fine white kind of translucent powder, and I just lightly dust my entire T-zone with this powder. It kind of just disappears into nothing, but it does feel very soft and very matte, obviously. Smooths out my pores, like it really fills them in, and just like adds that kind of powder oil absorbing layer before I even touch foundation. It's definitely playing on that whole idea of like powder before foundation, except for this one is really meant for it, so it extra mattifies. Okay, now on to a couple more traditional primers. This is a new one. This is the Sephora Beauty Amplifier. The Sephora Beauty Amplifier Mattifying H2O Gel Primer. This is one of the most mattifying primers I've ever used in my entire life. It's really interesting. It comes out kind of looking like the Benefit Pore Professional, like it has like a little bit of a tint to it. It's very thick, but it's so weird. Like as soon as you put it on your skin, it completely transforms and is like immediately like so sticky, and then eventually it's just gonna go extremely matte. So it really dries quickly on your face, so you kind of have to work in sections. But oh my god, I find if you put this on and then immediately put your foundation on, it kind of makes your foundation look a little wonky. But if, you know, super mattifying is the name of your game, definitely recommend picking this up. Just make sure when you put it on, you kind of wait a few minutes before you go in with the foundation. I do find this one to be like borderline uncomfortable. I mostly just use it kind of on my nose and like on my forehead where I get the most shiny, just because I don't really need it down here, and it does feel like super matte and super tight. This one is from the drugstore. It's the Rimmel Stay Matte Mattifying Makeup Primer. This one is an interesting texture. It's a really thick, looks like a cream, honestly. And when you put it on your skin, it also feels like a thick cream, but it does dry down completely. It does help a little bit with pores, and it definitely mattifies. I really like this mixing it with foundations. Actually, one of you guys recommended that to me. It really makes everything super smooth and super soft and like super matte without being drying at all. I do find that this has a little tiny bit of silicone to it. That kind of silicone base. It's not really bad though, because I personally do not like those really silicone primers. I find they're not great for oily skin, at least my oily skin, but this one is just subtly silicone-y. I would really recommend this for a good drugstore mattifying primer. This is the Pixi by Petra Flawless and Poreless Primer. This one to me is really a lot similar to the Stay Matte by Rimmel that I just mentioned. It is quite a thick cream, but it does blend out really nicely. It's a little bit less silicone-y than this one. That's why I like it a little bit more. Mattifying, pore filling, but not that thick consistency that, you know, balls up underneath your foundation or anything. It just really sinks in and does its job. This is like kind of a primer, kind of a foundation. I don't really know. The Porefessional Pore Minimizing Makeup from Benefit. And this is a super liquidy product. You can see there, it's just kind of like watery running down my hand. This is crazy mattifying. When I use this, and I do have a first impression review on this, when I use this, my face did not get oily like at all. Like it was insane. Like I was so impressed. I kind of treated it at the time, however, as like a really lightweight foundation, and I definitely think you can. The color selection really sucks though. So that's why I find that if I put a little bit just kind of in my T-zone and then completely cover it up with foundation that's actually my shade, it works okay. For me, the lightest shade is still like pretty orange and a little bit dark, but it really does mattify. Like it really controls oil. So I would recommend this product as kind of a priming fluid. I just don't think it's a great foundation. And the last two I want to mention are actually setting sprays, but I like to use setting sprays as a primer before I put my foundation on, just because I find it really mattifies the skin as opposed to mattifies your foundation, if you know what I mean. So this is the NYX Matte Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. This is super mattifying. Kind of makes your skin feel a little bit tight. If you're not like a fan of that tight and kind of uncomfortable feeling, I probably wouldn't go for this one, but it really does do its job, and I really like it. It's very affordable, super mattifying. And this is the Bocia White Charcoal Mattifying Makeup Setting Spray. This is again just kind of a mini version. I love this because it kind of acts as like a powder. Like when you spray it on your skin, it almost has like a powdery finish, which again soaks up any excess oil before it even comes through. So I do really like that. So yeah, I guess that is the end of my favorite mattifying primers list. If you have a favorite that I haven't mentioned today, please put it in the comments. I know that we would all love to find some new stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.